This is the second unit of corporate financial management as per the syllabus of Abdul Kalam Technical University for the first year MBA. In this topic, we will discuss the cost of capital, what the meaning and definition, and what are the aspects and what are the topics in under or the subtopics under this particular discussion. First, before going into the depth of cost of capital, we must be aware why the cost incurs when we are going to start a firm or the company. Because to run every business, we generally need funds, and funds are raised from the several sources. And the sources for raising the funds available in the market are basically depends on what kinds of funds we are going to raise from the market. So funds are raised basically from the sources, and sources of raising funds are basically the shareholders and the borrowers. Suppose we are going to raise the funds from the equity shareholders, we are going to raise funds from preference shareholders, we are going to raise funds from the reserve and surplus. These basically three parts of shareholders may be there. We can raise the funds from these several sources, and from the part of the borrowers on the other hand, we can say from the borrowers by borrowing the funds from the debentures in way of debentures and way of bank loans, and as well as the bonds, etc. We can raise the funds from the market, and after raising these funds, both the part of either the funds we have raised from the shareholders or from borrowers are to be totaled, to be summed. Okay, so summation or the total of these funds, shareholders and borrowers funds, will be called the cost of capital. Cost of capital is basically a discount rate which is used to compute the present value of future cash flows, which helps a firm to decide whether to go ahead with the project or not. Suppose the company is going to raise the funds, but the funds available in the market are cheapest, available at a very cheap rate or very high rate. So definitely a company has to take a decision, or the board of directors will take a decision whether we should go to choose these loans or not. And companies, if we talk about the company, so cost of capital, I mean the cost of security is also a minimum required rate of return which a firm should earn to maintain the market value of a company. After learning these all subtopics, you definitely will be able to understand the key assumptions and the basic concept, specific sources of capital associated with the cost of capital. We also can be able to determine the cost of long term as well as short term debts. After knowing this all, we can calculate, or you can calculate the cost of common stock equity and convert into the cost of retained earnings and the cost of new stock of the common share stock. So finally I can say this with confidence. You can calculate the weighted average cost of capital, which is the composite, may be called with other name composite or the combined cost of capital, and it will make you able to know alternative weighing schemes also. So after this all, you would definitely be able to understand this all what I just have covered, and this particular lecture will cover the answer of the several questions which I am going to share with you, and these may be what do you mean by cost of capital, and how the cost of capital is computed, what are the sources of capital, what are the steps involved in computing cost of capital, and what do you mean by specific cost of capital, and how the specific cost of capitals are computed, what are the factors affect cost of capital, does a firm considers short-term sources of funds in computation of overall cost of capital or not. So case studies on how a firm computes the specific and overall cost will be discussed under this particular lecture. As per the John J. Hampton, the meaning of or the definition of cost of capital is the cost of capital is a rate of return the firm requires from investment in order to increase the value of firm in the marketplace, and means very clearly this is such a return which is required by the shareholders from the investment in a particular project. And cost of capital is the minimum required rate of earnings or the cut-off rate of capital expenditure as per Solomon Ezra. So the sources of finance or sources of funds may be divided in several parts. I just have discussed with you. The funds may be raised from the sources available as shareholders, and funds may be raised from the borrowers. So these, in simple, the cost of capital of a firm is the weighted average cost of their different sources of financing. So components or the factors affect cost of capital. So there may be different factors which may affect the cost of capital, and basically three components are there. I can say that the four components may be there as per mine. Okay, the one is the risk-free rate, second is business risk premium, and fourth is the financial risk, and as well as the liquidity and marketability also can be added in this. So the risk-free rate, basically if we discuss about this basically relates to the expected rate of return when a project involves no financial or business risk, and it again can be subdivided into the two parts. One is real interest rate and other is purchasing power risk. So the real interest rate, whatever the funds have been raised from the financial institution or the preference shareholders, the dividend is to be paid for, and the purchasing power risk is, it will basically be higher if the interest rate is higher in the market. And business risk, as well as business risk, basically the variability of expected return in a particular line of business. It can be observed in the market by observing the companies in the same line of business. Suppose we are going to raise funds from the bankers, and the funds raised for the company having a business in surgical items. So definitely, so bankers or the financial institutions may observe the other companies or the other firms in the same line of business, what the other business or the business companies are facing the problems today. So if there is more risk as per the calculation of their own, so definitely the suppliers or the bankers, whatever you may call, the financial institutions will grant you the funds on the very high rate of interest. And next is the financial risk, the portion of risk access to the business that results from financial leverage, and this financial risk relates to the pattern of capital structure of firm. Suppose a firm contains higher debts in its capital structure, means suppose a company is having its own businesses running smoothly, but the thing is as per the norms or as per the situation, business is having a lot of load of the debts on itself, so should have more risk than a firm which has comparatively low. Means if the firm is having or the company is having a lot of debts from the outside, definitely it will be going to face the problems in nearest or the long term in the future, and the bankers or the financial institutions will provide loan on the higher rate of interest. So these kinds of if the financial risk is there, definitely the firm or the company has to pay the financial risk premium for the financial institution at the time of taking loans. And last is the liquidity and marketability. If the availability of the cash or the availability of liquid with the company is proper and it is sound, then we can say the premium which is to be demanded by the investors or the financial institutions will definitely be low as compared the if the liquidity or the position of cash is lower in the company. And these above components may be called with different kinds of symbols like risk-free return, maybe RF, and businesses RB, the financial risk and RF, and other risk, all others are O. So the computation of cost of capital, what basically is the computation of cost of capital involves the two kinds of computations. One is the specific cost and another is the composite cost. So when we'll compute the specific cost, definitely we'll be going to compute the specific cost in the starting. When we will make it complete, definitely we'll be going to add or sum up all the specific costs to make it the composite or weightage. Okay. Fine. And so for the specific cost, we will discuss about the cost of debts, cost of preference shares, and cost of equity shares, as well as cost of retained earnings or the reserve and surplus. So computation of a specific cost, basically if we compute the cost of debts, it is the rate of return which is expected by the lenders or the banking or the financial institutions to be charged on the company or the firm. So cost of debts always is to be calculated by applying a formula and to be represented with KD is equal, this basically is equal interest divided by net profit. I basically the rate of interest which is to be charged by the lenders on the company or the firm, and net profit is what the company or the firm will get after the sanction of the amount. If the debts are so again there may be the three situations when we are going to issue the debts in the market from the market. Definitely if the debts are issued at par, if the debts are issued at premium, and definitely if a debt is issued at a discount. So the net profit depends on, so because the net profit at the situation of at par, definitely the face value minus issue expenses. Suppose you are going to take a loan from the HDFC Bank, that is 1 lakh rupee for your company. So 1 lakh rupee will be the amount of loan, but at the same time you are going to pay the charges for this particular loan, and the HDFC is going to charge you 1.75 or 1.15 or 1.25% as the issued expenses or the banking file charges. Definitely the same amount which is to be charged by the bank or the banker or the financial institution is to be deducted from the actual amount of loan, that is 1 lakh. So 1 lakh minus the amount to be charged as the file, after deducting this charge, the amount whatever the company will receive is called with the name of net profit. As for the same, the debts are issued at premium, definitely the premium amount is to be added and minus expenses. Again, if the debts are issued at discount, definitely from 1 lakh the amount of discount is to be deducted, again the amount of file charges are to be deducted. So cost of perpetual or irredeemable preference shares, the preference shares basically are subdivided into the two parts. One is redeemable preference shares and another is irredeemable preference shares. So at the time of irredeemable preference share, normally a fixed rate of dividend is payable, as we all know, on the preference shares, definitely. But in practical sense, preference dividend is regularly paid by the companies or the firms when they earn sufficient amount of profit. In case if the firm is not going to earn the sufficient amount of profit, so the previous dividend may be hold for the later. Okay, so the cost of perpetual or irredeemable preference share will be calculated by applying the formula, that is in two parts. One is after tax and second is before tax. So after tax, the cost of preference share capital will be preference dividend divided by net profit into 100, and the result will be in percentage. And again, suppose you are going to calculate the same cost of the preference shares before tax, definitely if the tax is not deducted, definitely the cost of preference share will be more than the after tax. We can calculate a question based on this particular cost of perpetual preference or the irredeemable preference share capital. The question is like Sunil Limited issued the 99% preference shares of 100 each and incurred the following expenses. The underwriting commission is charged, that is 2%, brokerage charge is 1%, other expenses are 10,000. Find out the cost of capital after the before tax and after tax and before tax, assuming that the tax rate is applicable, that is 50%. So answer will be, according to me, we just need to apply the formula what we just discussed in this particular slide, the KP after tax and KP before tax. KP basically the cost of preference shares. Now after applying the formula, we will see the cost of preference after tax will be 9.375% and cost of preference share capital will be 9.375 divided by 0.5, because 50% is tax which is applicable on the firm. Definitely the answer will be 18.75%. So this is the situation of irredeemable preference share capital. In case you are going to raise the funds from the preference share capitals as well as on the premium or as well as on a discount. Suppose the company raises preference share capital of 1 lakh rupee by issuing 10% preference shares of rupees 100 each. So what will be the cost of preference share capital in case if it is raised on the 10% premium or a discount rate of 10%? Definitely after applying the formula, you will see the net profit will be different for both the cases. Case first is the 10% premium and case second is the 10% discount. In case we are going to apply in the 10% premium, definitely the premium is to be charged on rupee 1 lakh, 10% of 1 lakh will be 10,000 rupee. So the 10,000 rupee, I mean the preference dividend will be 9% of it, 10% of it, and 10% of it will be 10,000 rupees. So 10,000 is to be divided by 1 lakh plus premium 10%. So 10,000 divided by 1 lakh 10,000, the answer will be 9.09%. I mean the cost of preference share capital will be 9.09%. If the same amount is raised from the preference shareholders on the discount of 10%, definitely the net profit will be changed, and net profit will be calculated, the 1 lakh minus 10% of 1 lakh, so 90,000. So 90,000 is the amount that is called net profit, and preference dividend will remain same unchanged. 10,000 is to be divided by 90%, and the same amount will be there, 11.11%. So 11.11% will be the cost of capital in case if the preference shares are issued on the 10% discount. Now the second condition is if the preference shares or the preference share capital is raised from the redeemable preference shares, or the capital is raised from the redeemable preference shares. So redeemable preference shares are those which are to be redeemed after a fixed period of time, like at the time of raising capital from the preference shareholders. Company will make it very clearly the amount what we are going to raise from your side will be refunded to all of you at this much of time period, after 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 20 years or so. So the applicable formula in this particular calculation will be the preference dividend plus the maturity value to be paid at the time of redemption minus net profit is to be divided by n. In this particular formula will be number of periods. I mean how much time the company will take to refund the total amount which is taken from the preference shareholders, and again is to be divided by the maturity value of preference shares plus net profit is to be divided by 2 into 100. So this formula will be for the after tax and for before tax. Again the formula will be say the preference share cost of preference share after tax is to be divided by 1 plus tax rate, and we can go through our case study. Suppose the Gaurav Limited has issued a 10% redeemable preference shares of rupee 100 each for rupee 1 lakh. These shares are redeemable at the end of 10th year. Underwriting costs come to the 2%. Calculate the cost of preference share capital after and before tax, and both the conditions are there. You just need to calculate the cost of preference share capital after tax or the before tax, and the before tax, and tax rate applicable will be 40%. So when we will calculate this particular question, and you will see that the formula is the same as we just discussed in the last particular slide, and will remain same. So applying formula, this particularly the KD will be the cost of preference share capital, and maybe before or for the after tax, and so preference dividend will be mentioned with PD, and P is the net profit, that is 2% of the total amount raised from the preference shareholders. The preference shareholders are going to contribute 1 lakh rupees, so 2% of 1 lakh will be 2000, maturity value will remain same 1 lakh, and the number of period, I mean the redemption will be done after 10 years or at the time of 10 years completion. So after applying the formula, you will find that 10.3% will be the cost of preference share capital after tax, and before tax will be 17.1666%. There may be multiple questions we can solve, and you just need to have a practice with help of pen and paper. Definitely you will become expert of calculating the cost of preference share capitals, and now I'm going to focus on the cost of equity share capital. So cost of equity share capital may again I can say this is a kind of minimum required rate of return that the firm must earn on its investment, because the cost of capital, if we talk about the cost of capital, the cost of capital is the total of cost of different capitals like the equity capital, preference capital, and the debts. So finally there are three important methods of computing or the calculating cost of equity share capital. One is the dividend price method, another is the dividend plus growth method, and third is earning approach or earning price method. By using these three methods, we can calculate the cost of equity share capital. So first we are going to discuss the cost of equity share capital applying the dividend price method. Dividend price method basically is the based on the formula dividend per share is to be divided by market per share or market value per share, or in case if the market value per share is not given in the question or in the example, definitely it may be replaced with the net profit. So the formula will be the KE is equal DPS divided by NPS or NP into or multiply by 100, and again the before tax will same calculation will be there. After tax, the cost of equity share capital will be divided by 1 minus tax rate, and NPS here is the market price per share, and NP is the net profit per share. Basically is to be applied. Again the case study is X Limited has issued 2000 equity share capital of rupee 100 is as fully paid. The market price of per share is rupee 160. So it makes us very clearly understand that MPS is given rupee 160. The company has paid a dividend of rupee 8 per share. So DPS is also given in this particular question, that is 8 rupee per share, and tax rate applicable is 30%. So how the equity share capital or the cost of equity share capital is to be computed in both the cases, either the after tax or the before tax. So applying the formula, same definitely will be going to reach the answer. The cost of capital equity share capital will be 5%. This will be after tax, and before tax will be more than, because the tax is not deducted from the amount. So the after tax or before tax will be the after tax in the cost of equity share capital divided by 1 minus tax rate. Cost of equity share is to be computed on the basis of or applying the dividend price plus growth method. In this method, the formula will remain same, but the growth rate is to be added, and particularly the growth rate, the cost of capital will remain same, but we have discussed in the last class in just the last slide, and we'll see the growth rate here is to be added. So in the slide we can solve the different kinds of questions or the examples using, if the 7% is the growth rate, definitely overall computation will be like this, and 7% growth is to be added, and finally you will find that 12% is the rate of equity share capital in case if the dividend price plus growth method is applied. In case the last method is the computation of equity share capital using the earning price method or earning price approach. So earning price method will be here, the formula is to be replaced with EPS. In this particular formula we will use the term earning per share in place of dividend per share. So the total focus will be on the earning per share, not on the dividend per share. After applying the formula, you would be able to calculate so many examples of the questions of these kinds what we just have discussed in. Okay. Suppose this is the kind of questions. The earning of A Limited is 1 lakh. It has issued 10,000 shares of 100 each as a fully paid. The market price of these shares are 160. The question is same. The MPS is given 160. Corporate rate is rupees. Corporate tax rate is 60%. What would be the cost of equity share capital after and before tax? So definitely EPS. If the EPS is here, that is 10%. EPS is, that is 10%. So EPS is to be divided by the market value, market price per share. The question, the answer will be like this, and after or before tax will be 55.6 to 5%. The cost of retained earning, again the last part of from the end of from the side of shareholders, we are going to raise the funds. Definitely the cost of retained earning is to be computed, and cost of retained earning basically is the cost of the funds. Is suppose the company has earned a profit during the financial year, and if the company has not distributed the total amount of profit of its among its shareholders, definitely there may be some retention of the earnings or the profits for the future growth of the business. So the cost of retained earning is to be computed by applying the formula that will be the cost of equity multiplied by 1 minus tax rate into again 1 minus brokerage, and brokerage will be the charges when you will be going to spend on. And finally these are suppose the Professor Sony, again going to discuss an example of the case history. Professor Sony, Yaswardhan Sony holds 2,000 shares of ₹20 each in Yes Bank, and Yes Bank has earned ₹15 per share and distributed ₹10 per share as dividend among its shareholders. So balance is being retained earning. Okay, what will be the balance? Balance will be what the company has earned during the financial year and what the amount to be distributed or has been distributed among the shareholders. So ₹5 will be the difference between this. So ₹5 will be per share retention amount, and so finally we can calculate the retained earnings after the before tax, and so cost of retained earning. Cost of retained earnings to be computed by applying this particular formula, and you can solve this case easily because number of case studies or the examples we have shared in this class. Finally, how the computation of composite cost of capital is done. In this is one of the important lecture part, that is the composite cost. Composite cost, may be called with name of combined cost of capital, or with other names like weightage cost of capital, and basically average cost of capital sometimes as well as so we just need to focus on this particular lecture, and we know how the computation of weightage average cost is to be done. Steps. So what are the steps in computing the composite cost or the weightage average cost of capital? So there may be there are different steps to be taken by the manager of finance or the board of directors to calculate the composite cost of capital. To calculate the composite cost of capital, first we need to calculate the cost of each
of the source of finance is asset and like we just have calculated cost of debts, cost of equity, cost of preference shares and cost of retained earnings. So same the cost of each source of the finance is to be computed. Second, assigning weights to the specific cost, and we just need to assign the weights for the each and every specific cost. Third, the multiplying the cost of each sources by the appropriate weights. So it's cost of each sources is to be multiplied by the weight of its own. And finally, the dividing the total weight cost by the total weight. Total weightage cost by the total weight. You will find the computation of the composite or the weightage average cost of capital is done. And in this, by doing this, we can calculate this. The application in this particular, the formula apply will be KWI, weightage cost of capital will be sigma XW divided by sigma W. In this particular formula, we can say the KW, I mean the cost of weightage average cost, and X will be the cost of a specific source of finance, and the W will be weights proportion of the specific source of finance. Now let's discuss an example here. The cost of capital after and the company as per the specific sources is as follow, and the capital structure of the company is like this. This is basically the cost capital structure of a company. Here the debts are for 3 lakh rupee, preference share capital raised from the market from the preference shareholders, that is 4 lakh rupee, equity share capital raised from the market from the equity shareholders is 6 lakh rupee, and retained earning is 2 lakh rupee. So these are the specific costs. These are the specific costs. Specific costs are again I will let you know raised on the different rates. Debts are raised on the 4% rate of interest. Preference shares are raised from the 11.50% rate of dividend, and equity share capital is consists of 15.50 dividend rupee per share, and retained earnings will be 14.50 per share. So finally the total investment in the company made is 15 lakh rupee, and how the weighted average cost of capital is to be computed by applying the book value method, because there are two methods calculating this all. One is the book value method, another is the alternative approach or the alternative method. By applying the book value method, and we can put the values of debts, preference share, equity, and retained earnings, and total as well. So the weight of the proportion of amount raised from the shareholders and the markets are to be given in front of it. So the weights will be 3 lakh rupee is the 0.200, I mean 20% will be 20% of total amount of investment. Yani 3 lakh means 3 lakh will be 20% of 15 lakh, and 4 lakh will be again the 4 lakh will be the 0.267, I mean 26.7% of 15 lakh rupee. Again we can say the equity share 6 lakh will be the 40% of 15 lakh, and the retained earning will be 13.3% of 15 lakh. So these basically are weights are given in this computation. We just need to calculate the weight, and after tax cost we can calculate this will be accordingly, because this is given the 4% will be for the debts, and 11.5% will be for the preference share, and equity share will charge 15.5%, and 14.5% for the retained earning. So definitely this part of after tax cost and these to be multiplied by C, or the C is to be multiplied by D. So the weightage cost will be here 0.0080, 0.0307, and total will be 0.1200. The question will get solved. Definitely you can say this particular, I mean the 0.1200 will be the weightage average cost of capital, and maybe mentioned in the percentage that will be multiplied by 100. So 12% will be the weighted average cost of capital. By applying the another method, the next method, that is the alternative approach. Using the alternative approach we can calculate it simply. So the weights are given, I mean as we have calculated, we just not need to discuss in this particular approach. we will calculate the amount of total cost. So total cost will be, suppose the, in the question it is given the 3 lakh is raised from the debt, so at the rate of 4%. So the 4% is the rate of interest to be paid by the firm to the lenders. So the 4% of 3 lakh will be 12,000. Again, the preference shareholders are to be paid with 11.5% of dividend, preference dividend. So the 11.5% preference dividend will be the 46,000 of 4 lakh rupee, and again the equity share capital, I mean the dividend of at the rate of 15.5 of 6 lakh will be 93. As so after making this complete, okay, we'll find the total cost of the capital is 1,80,000. This particular cost is, 1,80,000 is paid on the total investment which is made by the company in the firm. So formula needs to bring in application, that is KW is equal to sigma XW divided by sigma W into 100. Finally, so 1,80,000 is to be divided by 15 lakh into 100. Finally, you will find again the cost of weighted average cost of capital by applying the alternative approach. Okay, the second approach, that is very important, will be the 12% here. After learning this very clearly, we can say what are the importance of cost of capital. So it makes you able to understand what are the importance of cost of capital. It basically helps in calculating and evaluating and understanding the investments options, and by converting the future cash flows of the investment opportunities into the present value by making it discount. And second is it also helps in capital budgeting decisions, because how the decisions are taken, how the budgets are to be made regarding the sources of finance used by the company. And this particular lecture I am going to complete here. So definitely I hope you would be able to give several, all the answer of the questions which I have mentioned on the second slide of this particular lecture. In this particular lecture, so there are several questions. Now you can give the answer of perfectly, very clearly, what will be the answer of the particular question. At the end, I would like to say you the session is getting complete. Please subscribe this channel and wait for the next video to be posted by me, and keep watching. Thanks for your good learning and the quality learning. Please don't forget to subscribe this channel, and it will make me and also you can raise your, you can forward your suggestions for me if anything is to be covered, other things are to be covered for your more knowledge. Definitely I'll try to cover this all in the next lecture. So please don't forget to subscribe and give your comments over this lecture. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.